Kyoto, the ancient capital of Japan, rich in history, tradition, art and music. One of the most visited cities in Japan with magnificent temples, geisha, kabuki, and the list goes on. But why do we find ourselves here in the year 2023? This will take us all over the world, from Tennessee to France to Germany. A story unfortunately about children getting attacked, abductions, racism, sexism, anti-Semitism, male body mutilation, and a lot more. Do you recognize this man? This is former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, killed brutally while doing a speech by a Japanese man who ended up casting a massive shadow all over Japan before he ended up shining a big light over one of the most unknown aspects of Japanese life. You see, assassinator Tetsuya Yamagami held a major grudge over a Japanese and Korean cult called the Unification Church, or the Sekai Heiwa Toitsu Kate Rengo, a cult in Japan which Tetsuya's mother was a member of. Tetsuya saw his mother hand over all of her worldly possessions and devote her life to serving this cult, neglecting her children in the process. Now let's pull back a minute. No, not that way, this way. To the United States of America in the groovy 60s and 70s, with hippie culture, newfound freedoms, and a whole load of new religions popping up all over the country. Some would just go on to die out, some to gain some following, and others unfortunately to, well, sorry to sound like this, but either topping themselves or being topped. One of the few groups to avoid such a fate is called the 12 Tribes, a cult that has thousands of members living in different cities all over the world in these amazing self-sufficient farms, and they run these quaint and affordable cafes and restaurants all over the world. Or is this just a front for something a lot more sinister? France, 2001. Two parents are convicted to 12 years in prison after causing the death of their 19-month-old baby. The incident happened in 1997 with a baby suffering from cyanotic heart disease. Now this disease is operable, but the parents refused any type of medical treatment. The only treatment they gave this baby was honey and herbs, and although we don't know what led up to the death, it was found that this baby died from a basic lack of food and care. And as you may have guessed it, the two parents were both members of the French branch of the 12 Tribes cult. Fast forward a few years to Bavaria, Germany, at another 12 Tribes commune. Police are preparing to raid a property after hidden camera footage shows adults violently and aggressively beating kids for misbehaving, and in one really chilling case, just for exclaiming that they were tired. Now luckily the authorities rescued these children and put them into foster care, but that didn't stop the group from kidnapping one of the children and relocating them to the Czech Republic, where the group had moved to after the raid. You see, physically reprimanding children is one of the core beliefs of this cult. It even says so on the Q&A on their website. But this is just the beginning of the madness of this twisted cult. This is Jim. Say hi, Jim. Jim is a fairly well-to-do operations manager at a rather large hotel. Jim is feeling a bit lost in life. He's struggling to find a purpose in his ever-getting faster adult life. Until one day at a local fair, he notices a large group of happy, dancing people having a ball of a time at the fair. He hears the name 12 Tribes and thinks, though strange, they honestly seem like a lovely, happy group of people merely enjoying the festivities. Then another day, Jim is feeling hungry and decides to go out for a bite to eat. He passes by a friendly-looking cafe and decides to go inside. Inside, he finds cheap food, great service, and a cozy atmosphere. Jim is really enjoying himself. At the end of his meal, his friendly waiter approaches again. He talks to Jim, listens to Jim, and really shows an interest in him. Jim feels at ease, and before he could thank the man for his kindness, he is offered an invitation to a party on the coming Friday night, with him and all of his really friendly-faced friends. Jim hears the name 12 Tribes again, and instantly recalls the lovely dancing group he saw the other day. Jim says yes and attends the meeting. He is immediately welcomed, made to feel more at home than he ever has been. He hears about their amazing way of life, how they live together, watching the backs of one another and praising the one true Saviour, Yeshua, otherwise known as Jesus Christ. Jim feels more at ease than he ever has and asks to join them. He is welcomed with open arms. Now luckily, Jim isn't real, as if he had been. Like many real-life members who came out against this cult, his life would have gotten a lot darker. He would have had to give up his house to the cult, move into the cult's residency, work what many people call slave labor in the cult's farms and restaurants and all of the other side businesses that they may operate, pull these children out to school, make them attend cult-run homeschooling, be made to despise homosexuals, accept the so-called fact that black people are inferior to whites and are serving some kind of biblical punishment, which is also a theory that's followed by the KKK of all groups, potentially be circumcised as an adult, be forced to hate Jews but also celebrate the holidays, be refused medical care, potentially ending with the death of an unborn child, only to have that death blamed on the parents because it was because of his or his wife's sin. Oh yeah, it got pretty dark. Now, why are we in Kyoto? And why at the beginning of this video were we looking at the assassination of Shinzo Abe? Well, the two groups are very different, but have some striking similarities, especially in the terms of monetary handovers to the cult. Now, the matter of the fact is, because of this cult and because of the many allegations that the assassin brought up against them, and the amount of times that that's brought up on Japanese TV, Japanese people are very on edge about cults and other fringe religious groups as of late. But why Kyoto? Well, it turns out that the 12 Tribes cult has a group in Japan and they're based in Kyoto. They even have their own cafe there called the Yellow Deli. Now, I couldn't believe this when I found out. I gave it some research, I tried looking into them, and literally I couldn't find anything, nothing about the cult, nor about the cafe, except that the fact that it exists and it's got lots of good ratings on Google Maps. They grow their own food and they don't pay their employees. Of course it's cheap. This is a big front to try and get new members to join their group, and they know it too. I did find their Instagram page. They claim that this cafe is an Australian bakery. My mind started to boggle. Could this cult in Japan be doing the same kind of things that it gets away with abroad? I had to try and find out. So, equipped with these spy glasses, I decided to go out to Kyoto and find out for myself. I stopped at this beautiful Japanese neighborhood in the middle of Kyoto, and I'll let you see for yourself.
That's cold. Is it open? You've got to be joking. You have got to be joking. I've came all this fucking way and it's closed. I can't believe it.
Of course I was kind of gutted. I went all that way to try and see this place, but to be honest, after everything I've learned about this group, I'm glad I didn't spend any of my own money in that place. I could have came home, maybe went a different day, but I decided not to. I made my mind up what I was going to do. I was going to go for a drink. I went to 2 or 3 different bars, I went to a few different shops, just having a look and chatting to the locals, and none of them had any idea that this restaurant was run by a cult. So I told them.
あそこへ行きたかったんですよ。あそこのカフェ。あかん意味でな。そんなことある。アメリカのやばい宗教がやってる。世界中に広まってるけど、ほんまに子供を体罰するし、で、なんか、そのメンバーになるのに、自分の持ってるお金、自分の持ってるものを全部あげなあかん。で、みんなで住むようになる。ね、僕らが入っとったら、子供できたら、その子供は僕らだけの子供じゃなくてみんなの子供やから、みんな体罰的。本当にあかん。もうドイツで違法にもうかからん方がいいよ。もう本当にみんな笑顔やけど、みんなメンバー欲しいだけやから、もう本当に怖いやつ。休みやったらすごいよ。もうすごい体罰もするし、子供にもう本当にやばい。働いてる人も給料なしやし、もうほんま怖い。あそこは怖いよ。もうみんな笑顔で優しそうやけど、やってることはそうでもない。もう英語圏のメディアとかでよう出てる。あいつらのこと。ちらっとは聞いたんですけど、ね、どこまでがほんまかどうかわからないんだけど、
I told them that if they search in Japanese that they're not going to find anything, but if they search in English and maybe use Google Translate, maybe they'll find some more about this cult. They've welcomed this group into their community, and unbeknownst to them, they're doing some really, really shady and brutal things, especially to children. So what do you think? Do you think I made the right decision? Should I have just kept to myself and not bothered anybody around the area? Should I have not even went for a drink? Should I just could have came home? Should I have not even went there in the first place? I don't know, I was kind of interested and I wanted to go and see it for myself. But I'm glad I was able to go there and see the area and meet the locals, and I really had a fun night. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I've got